Hello my crafty friends. Do you ever have those weeks where you just want to do a simple craft? Well, these crafts in this video are going to be exactly that. They're going to be relaxing and we're going to be ready for fall. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, now for this one we're going to be using this Dollar Tree wood pumpkin cutout. And we're going to make this very simple. I'm going to start by removing the raffia bow, and we're going to remove that, and we're also going to remove our tag, and I think I'll leave the hanger on there for now. And then what we're going to do is we're going to stain our pumpkin completely with some of this oak gel stain from Hobby Lobby. So let's go ahead and get that stained now. Alright, so now we have that stained, and I stained it on both sides. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these napkins. Now these napkins I have offered in my shop in a pack, and last week we did the project with this napkin, so I'm wondering if I should keep them matching because they're going to be in the same room together. So I think so. So let me go get that project and I'll show it to you, and that way you'll know where I'm coming from with this project. All right, and this is the project I was talking about that I want to match, and I'll have the video for this project linked down below for you guys in case you missed it. But I think it turned out so pretty. So what I want to do is I think I want to match this with that. And to do that, I'm going to be using one of these napkins that has the pattern on it. And we start by just tearing apart our napkin. And this napkin is a 3-ply napkin. So we want to get to the bottom level, or the bottom layer, the actual, I guess you'd call it the top layer, and you'll see there's 2 plain layers, and then we have the design layer, and we want to get all the way down to that top design layer, and then put those aside. Maybe we'll use them to clean up somehow. And then we're going to take, and I think I'm going to use a glue stick on this because I think we're going to have a little more control over our glue with a glue stick. So let's get that going. And I'm just using the Elmer's purple glue. And I'm going to do all of them together so I can stick the napkin on once. So I'm going to really liberally cover each one of these raised pieces on this pumpkin, making sure to get the edges. Okay, so now we've got that. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. My battery died in my camera. So anyways, like I was saying, just make sure that you smooth out as many wrinkles as you would like. You can also, I think you can put the iron method over this. I'm not really sure, but like I said, that doesn't really bother me. So now we're going to let this dry completely. Then we're going to come in and kind of tear it out a little bit, and then we will try and sand it to be a perfect clean edge on our raised pieces of our pumpkin. All right, and then once it's dried, I'm just going to take a little tiny piece of fine grit sandpaper, and I'm just going to take my finger and run it along the edge of the raised pieces of the pumpkin. And then as you'll see, it comes right off. All right, and then once we have that done, we're left with what looks like this. How cute is that? But I think what I want to do is I want to add a little bit of the matte Mod Podge onto mine, on the napkin part, just to kind of seal it. Because what I think I'm going to be doing with this is I'm going to be attaching it to a wreath in my entryway. So I want it to kind of be sealed. Now, it's not going to go outside, but if you want it to go outside, definitely seal it with some Mod Podge. And then I'm going to take mine out and give it maybe two or three good coats of the Rust-Oleum clear enamel in a satin finish. But let's go ahead and just try putting some of this Mod Podge onto our napkins. And I'm just going to use a makeup sponge for mine. And I'm just going to wipe it towards the edges so it doesn't tear up the edges. Like that. And I'll start from the center and work out. Trying not to go over it too much so I don't tear it, but putting on enough of a coat to where it seals it. And I like these makeup sponges for this reason because they're nice and smooth. And you don't have to use a ton of Mod Podge on them. So there, we got that done. Oh, look at it, it already looks pretty. It brought the design out much better. So we're done with that. So now, once our Mod Podge dries completely, that's when I'm going to take mine out and spray it with the Rust-Oleum clear enamel in a satin finish. And just in case you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, it's this Rust-Oleum satin clear enamel. So as soon as this dries completely, I'm going to take it out and give it 2 or 3 good coats of this. And then once we have it sprayed with our clear coat, we're left with this. And I think it's so pretty, and you can add whatever you want to the top, but I'm just going to add a raffia, little piece of raffia here, and I'm going to add this cute little brown satin bow. Now, if you don't like bows or it's not your thing, you can just leave it off. I know bows are now like super trend right now, so I don't really care much about trends if I'm being honest, but I do like bows, so. We're going to put our little bit of raffia on there. And I think that's so cute. I love this little scrunched up raffia. That's actually pretty on its own, I think. If you wanted to keep it really supernatural. Well, not supernatural, but natural. Oh my goodness, where are we going with this one? All right, and then I'm just going to put the bow on there. And then we have this cute little, you can make it a wall hanging decor, or you can remove the little twine and put it on a wreath, which is probably what I'm going to do, where I just put my little pieces of pipe cleaner or greenery wire on the back, and then I just wire it into my wreath, which is, I think, what I'm going to do with mine. I think it's going to be so cute, but I have to make my wreath, so maybe I'll make my wreath with you guys. But anyways, I think it turned out super cute for a Dollar Tree. And like I said, I'll have the napkin packs in my store, my online store, and I'll have that link below for you guys if you want to try and recreate this with the napkins. Now for this DIY, we're going to be using these fun 5-gallon paint stir sticks, and you can get these at Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart, and I'll have some links down below for you guys so you'll know what you're looking for, or if you just want to order them and pick them up or have them delivered to your house, that's perfectly fine too. I think that's fun actually. And how we're going to start is we're going to take, and you'll see how the paint stir stick has this beautiful little like kind of contoured handle at the end, and then it's just straight, and that's basically so you can grip it and stir, stir, stir. Well, anyway, we're going to alternate these pretty ends back and forth. So we're going to start with the curvy end this way, and then we'll take this curvy end and put it towards this side. And then we'll just keep going and stacking them like that together. So now we have them all laid down like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a brace piece on the back side here. So let's get that done. And to do that, what braces I'm going to be using for braces are these wood shims that I used in other DIY projects. And what I love about them is they're thin at the end, so you can cut them down very easily and use them. So if I want to use these as braces, I just got to cut it down just a tiny bit, and I can do that with my scissors. So that's what we are going to do. We're going to put the braces on the back here, and we're going to cut them down. So let's do that. I'll cut down right there and right there. And I think I'll do a third one too. And I'll do it like this. That way we have thickness at both ends, so it hangs straight. Okay, perfect. So now we're just going to take and cut these whatever way you feel comfortable with, but I'm pretty sure I can just cut mine with my scissors, but let's give it a whirl and see if we can. Yep, surely I can. And then just like that, we've cut down our shim. So, okay, now that we have those cut down, our wood shims cut down, we are going to take and even up our edges here, and we'll take a straight edge, which actually this one's pretty straight, and I'm just going to take another paint stir stick and just push all of my things together like this so they are even. Make sure they're nice and straight. And then we're just going to glue down our braces. And to do that, I'm going to use a mixture of some wood glue and then just a little bit of the Elmer's wood hot glue. Or not Elmer's, but Gorilla hot glue sticks for wood. And so we're going to do a mixture of that. That way, if we want to hang it outside, we can, or we can keep it inside. So first off, I'm going to take and do my wood glue. I'm going to do my wood glue towards the ends, and then I'll do my hot glue towards the middle and up the sides there. And then maybe just do a little dabs right there at the tips just to keep it. Because hot glue and wood glue is not a toxic mix, but man, when you start mixing hot glue with E6000, no, don't do it. It's so toxic. I mean, I've done it in the past, but ooh, that was before I knew it was so toxic. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold my shim down till the glue stick sticks, and then what I'll do to finish it, once I get my other shims glued on, then I will put some bricks or something heavy on there to help stick the wood glue down. So let's go ahead and continue on doing it. We'll start with our wood glue. We'll put a little down there in the middle and at the end. Then we'll take our hot glue there, there, boop, 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 boop. And then we'll put that over here. And we'll push them all together, making sure they're all together. And then we'll push that down like that, making sure it's nice and stuck. And you can tell that because the hot glue starts getting cool. All right, and then we're going to take and do this like this. So let's do a little bit of wood glue. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some weight on these and let the wood glue finish drying. And then once our wood slats are dried on the back, like that, we're going to flip it over and we have this nice little wood plaque. And you'll see how these are kind of spaced, which I love that. So now what we're going to do is we are going to set this aside for just a minute. And we are going to bring in this welcome word cutout. And I went ahead and filled the holes in with putty, and those have dried. So we're going to sand those off. And then we are going to paint our word cutout. All right, so now we have that done. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint mine orange. And I'm going to be painting it with this pumpkin orange. All right, now that we have that painted orange, we're going to move on to our next step, and that's going to be using this fun stencil. And I purchased this at Hobby Lobby. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the stencil and we are going to stencil onto our welcome word here. And we're just going to hold it down. It doesn't have to be exact. Doesn't even have to be taped down. We just want the design on our lettering. All right, and I'm going to be doing mine in white. And I'm going to try and use one of these little makeup sponges. So we'll see how this goes. But I'm just going to hold mine with my hand because, like I said, it doesn't need to be perfect. We just want the design on the word. And it doesn't even have to be dark. It could just be a light little dusting of color just to make the design pop. Because I want mine to just be a rustic feel to it. So we don't need perfection here. We just need the design on the lettering. Then once we have that painted, we're left with this cute little welcome design. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to dull the white a little bit and the orange with some maybe a little bit of antique wax over the white. I don't know. We'll see. I kind of like it. I also might sand it down a little bit. I think that'll be cute too. So let me go ahead and sand this down a little bit, and then we'll add a little bit of stain. All right, so I took this out and I sanded it down, and I love how it turned out. So now we're going to set that aside for now. And I want to paint mine with a burnt umber. And I'm going to be using, I think, this Americana burnt umber. And I'm going to paint my palette front and back. So let's go ahead and do that. And then once we have it painted, now I'm going to bring mine outside and distress it all over. So let me get that done and then we'll continue on with our project. But you can leave it as is, but I'm going to distress mine. All right, and then we have it distressed. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take some ribbon, and I'm going to be using some of this ribbon I got from the Dollar Tree, and it is so cute. I love the little pumpkins on it. And we're going to take the ribbon and we're going to weave it in and out of our paint sticks on the side here. So let's do that. And I'm going to start by just attaching it to the back side of this one. So we'll put a little bit of glue on the back side here. And I think I'm going to do it right here. Yeah, we'll do it right there. So we'll start on the back side there. Right, like that. So it's just attached to the back. Then we're going to flip it over. And we are going to weave our ribbon in between our wood slats. Now mine's a little bit harder because it's got the wire in it, but we're going to make it do, and it's going to work perfectly. All right, perfect. Yeah, okay, so now we've got that like that, and then we're going to come behind and we're going to weave that in like this. Like that. And then we will keep doing it all the way down to the bottom of our board. Then when we get down to the bottom, we're just going to trim it off and then glue it to the back side. Hey, my crafty friends. If you like what you see so far, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We'd love to have you here at Sweet Bay Lane, and that way you won't miss any upcoming videos. Well, let's get back to the crafting. Perfect, just like that. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so now we have that done. And it looks so cute, I think, with that little ribbon down the sides. And then we're going to take and put our welcome sign on here. Now, I'm noticing my oranges kind of don't match completely, which that kind of bothers me. So I'm wondering if I shouldn't stain the welcome a little bit just to make it a little bit more aged. Let me see. Let's see what that does. All right, so yeah, we put a little bit of stain on there, and I love how that looks. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put our welcome sign on, and I'm wondering if I should put it catty corner or should I just put it on the sign in the middle like that? I think that is what I will do. And then instead of putting a bow, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and paint this leaf, and I'm going to put it right there on my sign. All right, and I'm going to be painting mine with this mountain forest green, and I'm going to be mixing a little bit of brown with it just to bring it down a notch because it's a little bit brighter than my leaves on my ribbon. So let's do that. We're just going to mix a little bit together. Bloop. A little too much, but doesn't matter. All right, we're gonna get a makeup sponge. Ooh, thunder. Thunder. Uh-oh, here comes Miss River. She's like, oh no, Mama. Oh no, Mama. Miss Rivy, what you doing, honey? You afraid? You afraid, cat? All right, once I painted it, I distressed it just slightly, and now we're going to glue it down to our board. I think this is going to be the perfect solution to not putting a bow down. We're just going to put that like that, or should we put it like this? Yeah, like that. Put it down, attach it. Looks so cute. But I think what I'm going to do, because I want to tie some of this green into my sign. So I'm going to take a thin paintbrush, and I'm going to just touch some of the leaves on the letters. So let me get a fine paintbrush. We have our paintbrush. And I'm just going to dip it into the paint. And then I'm just going to add like little wisps of green around my letters. Like that. I mean, not letters, but my leaves. Perfect. Looks very fun and whimsical. All right, and then once I have my green added into my word, I think it looks so cute. But would you put a bow on it, or would you leave it plain? I don't know, I like it plain, but I kind of like it with a bow too. Let me show you. I made a little bow out of the same ribbon, and I was thinking about putting it right up here or right in the center, and I think that would be so cute. What do you guys think? Do you like the bow or too much? Too much maybe? Maybe too much. You could put it at the bottom, I guess. You could put it to the side. But I think I'm going to let mine go for now, and I'll just use that bow for something else. I might put it on my mailbox actually. But I think this turned out super, super cute. What do you guys think? For this DIY, we're going to be using some wood shims. And I purchased these at Lowe's, and I'll have a link for them. And we've done other shim projects. We did the shim projects for Christmas in July, and I love how those turned out. So then I thought, well, let's do one for fall, and that's what we are going to do. We're going to take our shims out. And if you're not familiar with wood shims, they are pieces of wood and they start out thick and then they go to thin. And you shove them into like different woodworking projects, like say you're hanging a door frame and you want to shim it up on one side so it's level to put your door in. That's what you use these for. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some wood glue. I'm going to be using the Tite Bond, and we're just going to glue them skinny ends together at the top, and we're going to glue all of our little wood shims together. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, and once we have them all together, we're then going to stand our shims up, make sure they're straight and together, and you want to have a flat bottom, so just make sure you have your flat bottom. And then I'm going to take some tape and a clamp, but you can use tape for both of these ends, but I'm going to take and use one of the Dollar Tree clamps, and I'm going to clamp together my top like this, making sure it's straight, and then pinching it in so it's nice and straight. And then what we're going to do is we are going to take and tape the bottom together. But if you have a big enough clamp to clamp the bottom, then you can do that as well. But I do not, so I'm going to be taping mine together. I'm just going to start at the bottom here. I'm going to pinch it together, and then I'm going to bring my tape around and then back onto the tape. That way it holds it into place. Making sure everything's straight. And then you'll just let that dry. Now I have one already dried, so we can continue on here. And so now we have our piece glued together, and I'm going to be making a piece of candy corn out of mine, and I think that's going to be so fun. So let's just roughly kind of draw our lines out here, and then we're going to start by painting our bottom yellow, and I'm going to be using this apple barrel yellow. All right, so let's paint our bottom yellow. Okay, then we're going to paint it the next layer orange in the middle. Okay, so now we have that. And for our top, we are going to paint that in a light, creamy color, white. All right, once we have it painted, I then just distressed mine a little bit, and I think it is the cutest little piece of candy corn, but we're not done yet because we're going to embellish our candy corn, and I'm going to do that with a little bit of twine and raffia. So let's go ahead and wrap it with our twine first. And then I think what I'm going to do is add a little button from, I've got all of these buttons my mother-in-law gave to me, and I even have more over there in my closet, but I think I'm going to use one of these little buttons for the center, just to add a little rustic, adorable touch. And I think that looks so adorable. What do you guys think? Don't you love it? How cute is that little thing? Now imagine making a set. I think that would be so cute. You could use the larger, longer wood shims and make a taller one. That would be so cute. For this DIY, we're going to be using a Dollar Tree leaf wood cutout, and these are this year's leaf cutout, and they say Hello Fall on them. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by removing the little bow there, the raffia bow. And you can save that and use it later if you want to, but I'm just going to toss mine because mine got a little junked up there. So anyway, I'm going to cut my tag away. And I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to remove my hanger as well because I want to save it. I'm going to be painting mine and I don't want paint to get on my hanger tag. So I'm going to save that to the side there. And then I'm going to start by painting my whole piece in this beautiful real navy blue, and it's like kind of a gloss indoor-outdoor paint. And I'm going to paint my whole leaf, including the design. I'm going to paint it navy. Now, I was painting this blue with this, but I have to be honest, I didn't have the patience for it. So I took it outside and I gave it 2 coats with this blue Rust-Oleum spray paint in a midnight blue satin finish. And this is what we have here. And so now I'm going to take some of this Rub and Buff gold leaf and we are going to highlight the fall, hello fall. And to do that, I'm hoping this is going to work. So I'm going to take some of this Rub and Buff gold leaf Rub and Buff, and I'm going to use a makeup sponge. And what I'm going to do is just probably coat the bottom of my sponge here with the Rub and Buff. Just get a light coat on the bottom so I can kind of control it where it's going. And then, wish me luck, I'm going to just take and stamp it onto my letters. All right, so now we have this, and I think it looks so pretty. Don't you think that looks so pretty with that gold Rub and Buff? And I'm just going to use mine for a kind of wreath decor, but you can use it for wall decor too. So what I'll do is I'll just add the hanger back. So in case I want to use it for wall decor, I can. But if not, I can always remove the hanger and use it in a wreath of some sort, which I probably will end up doing that. But just in case I want to put that in there. Also, I want to put a bow up there. And I made a bow out of this navy blue gingham check ribbon and this velvet ribbon. And both of these I got from Hobby Lobby. So I made a simple little kind of crisscross bow, and then I put some raffia in the center. And I'm going to glue it right down there. So let's get that done. And I think that looks so adorable. And then you're done. What do you guys think? Don't you love that?